Hello, nerds! Nerds for Humanity. It's been a while. I've been doing some work travel, and then I had to organize a family reunion to celebrate Grandma Nerd's 90th birthday, which is actually today, so happy birthday, Grandma Nerd. Grandma Nerd does not watch Nerds for Humanity, unfortunately. She does not get her news from the same sources that I do. She's more of a Sean Hannity type person, but we still love Grandma Nerd. So happy birthday, Grandma. Okay, let's get into the purpose of this stream, which is going into the details on the memo that was circulated within the Democratic Party leadership advocating for Tim Walz. Many of us, sadly myself included, were not super familiar with Tim before his selection. And I have to give credit. There were some nerds that had called Walz out to me, notably Emily Quinn, who's a Nerds for Humanity channel member. So thank you, Emily. I actually was thinking of doing a deep dive into Tim Walz before the decision was announced, and because of the family reunion stuff, wasn't able to get to it. And frankly, I probably thought, well, I guess she'll go with Shapiro. Oh, hello, Yoda. Good to see a channel member in the live chat. So what I thought I'd do for this episode is we'll just walk through this now kind of famous memo that made the case for Walz. Was this the reason why Kamala picked Walz? Maybe not, but was it definitely considered? I think so. This was surfaced to me in a New York Times kind of deep dive article about how Kamala made that decision, or Vice President Harris made that decision. We should maybe be a little more formal now that we're getting close to the election final. But let's look at it together. I haven't read this memo myself, so we're going to discover it and react to it together in real time. I've made a copy of the memo. The case for Tim Walz for Vice President, confidential, version 6. Then this was leaked after the selection, and so now all of us citizens can take a look at it together. Hey, Vaughn, good to see a channel member in the live chat. All right. So it says, as Midwesterners, we believe Tim Walz should be in the first tier of consideration. He uniquely complements Harris's strengths. He has a strong progressive record. This is probably a key argument. Authentically speaks to key Midwestern and rural voters. And I'm not sure that Shapiro speaks as much to Midwestern and rural voters as Walz does. And Walz is an extremely skilled messenger and tireless campaigner and surrogate against MAGA. This makes him a devastating counterpoint to J.D. Vance, while not creating new divisions or liabilities. Okay, so this is basically a reference to if Shapiro had been selected, those protests you saw at the Michigan rally probably would have been massive, given Shapiro's pretty strong support for the Netanyahu approach to dealing with Gaza. Let's see. Walz delivered for working families with the strongest track record of any Democratic governor by far. See his unparalleled Minnesota miracle record. And his commitment to make Minnesota the best place to raise a family aligns with Harris's agenda. Okay. Walz is the only, wow, a lot of caps and bolds here. I think that's like the new normal. Walz is the only candidate with both who would both bring extensive executive and congressional experience. It's important for a VP not to have to learn either executive management or DC on the job. So I think this is again another like, hey, you don't get this with Kelly and Shapiro. Walz has a humble Midwestern rural background, former high school teacher and football coach, 24 years in Army National Guard, small town in rural Nebraska, state college, worked in ag. Yeah, represented a deep red district. He knows rural America intimately. Yeah, this is a real problem for Trump to say, well, Walz is a San Francisco liberal when dude was born in a town of 400 in Nebraska. Frankly, white dude with white hair who grew up in a small town in Nebraska and served in the Army National Guard for 20-something years. That's pretty legit. Extensive military experience, one of only 2 sitting governors to have served, highest ranking enlisted soldier to ever serve in Congress. Damn. Serves as commander-in-chief of the Minnesota National Guard. I think that's true for every governor, though, to be fair, that you're commander-in-chief of the state's National Guard. He's trusted on national security, appointed by Trump, reappointed by Biden, co-chair of the Bipartisan Council of Governors, advising on Homeland Security and National Defense. Yeah, I mean, if you're Harris reading this, you're thinking, this is kind of a pretty big deal. Oh, hey, Jeremy. Good to see a channel member in the live chat. Welcome. Hello, nerds. Okay, Walz can powerfully describe the impact of GOP policies on Midwestern towns and small cities, and his personal history and record of accomplishment is a powerful contrast to Vance's racist fake populism. Yeah, so if you want to kind of play the, hey, try that in a small town card, Walz can kind of say, well, actually, I grew up in a town of 400 people. I know all about small town values. You don't have a monopoly over that, which is kind of interesting. It's been fun seeing the Harris-Walz rallies where now the audience is getting to chant USA. They can talk about how much they love the country. That's really probably upsetting to the MAGA crowd because they, I think, previously thought that they had a monopoly on patriotism. And now they don't no longer have a monopoly on patriotism. They also don't have some exclusive right to talk about small town leadership. Humble, empathetic, good-humored, good to work with, respected by peers. Okay, so this is another one, which is like, hey, he's not going to be a pain in your butt, Kamala, to work with. Party builder. So kind of says like he maybe doesn't need the spotlight as much as maybe Shapiro would. Strong pro-labor record, well-liked across the aisle, working with Republicans, finds common ground, plain-spoken, charming, gaffe-free, lands devastating, memorable punches in a cool, calm, and collected way. Yeah, like the way he kind of dismantles MAGA arguments, he kind of does it in that Midwestern nice way that is just hard for the kind of MAGA cinematic universe to really respond to. Knows how to play offense with Republicans, motivating to the Democratic base. He has the fewest potential downsides, no skeletons, drawbacks, or divisive stances. I would say the one, I don't know if I call it a skeleton, but there are questions about the timing of his retirement from the Army National Guard. I mean, the guy served 24 years. So I don't know if the rest of us can really say like, oh, why didn't you serve 25 or, however, the fact that it was proximate to his unit's deployment to Iraq does make it, I don't know if I call it a skeleton, but it's a thing. And so I think the Walz team is saying, hey, he had planned to retire long before because he was going to run for Congress and he wanted to have a clean separation. But I think, J.D. Vance is saying, oh, you retired because you didn't want to serve in Iraq. So that is, I think this whole, like, there are no skeletons, no drawbacks. That's harder. Wow, here's a complete anti-Shapiro thing. No divisive stances that might depress Democratic base enthusiasm. Gaza policy, charter schools. Those are both Shapiro positions. He would not deprive Democrats of a seat. I think this is a Kelly reference. Let's see. Then there's a bunch of pictures. Peggy Flanagan would be the first Native woman governor. Oh, wow. Interesting. That's cool. Minnesota shares a border with Wisconsin. Have you heard of Wisconsin? It's kind of an important state. They've also spoken about their reliance on IVF. Oh my God, he just gets better and better. He's a gun owner and hunter. Proven himself a steady hand during COVID. Daily presentation press conferences were watched by Minnesotans hungry for real information. Steady hand in civil unrest following the murder of Floyd. Calm and decisive in the heat of that crisis. Order was restored after the governor took charge, deployed the state National Guard, stepped in and took the prosecution of Chauvin away from the county prosecutor and handed it to the attorney general. Yeah. Wow. I mean, let me know in the chat if you're on the Harris team reading this memo. That's a pretty good I mean, they're making a pretty good case. You could see why he floated to the top of the stack here. Okay, I'm gonna we're not even done with this. Let's see how. Yeah, we're only about halfway through the secret memo. But before we continue, I do want to take a second to thank them, the people that make this channel possible. So if you're finding this useful, this stream, you're watching this maybe in the future on replay, do me a solid and hook me up with a like and share, and then comment below whether you would have picked Walz or not. The other thing you could do, if you're up for it, is become a member, which only starts at $1.99 a month and helps me invest in more content and improving the quality of the production of this little nerdy channel. So let's start with our biggest supporter. That's Soldier One. He's a member of the Nerds for Humanity cabinet. He's been supporting this content for over 51 months. My God. Thank you, Soldier One. Next, we have nerd members of Congress, Kristen, Bike, Zig, and Emily. Emily was the one who said, hey, you should take a look at Walz. I know you're excited about Whitmer, and you're predicting Shapiro. You were right, Emily. I got to give you credit for that. We have Kristen, who's been a supporter for 55 months, Bike, Zig PC, and Emily. These are congressional nerd members. City Council. Gene, David, DK, Jekalego, Mr. History, Mona, Vaughn, Yang, Dean, Galessa, Jay Perrin, Dana, Jason, Daniel, Jeremy, Mickey, Yoda, Jackson, Unkiyu, Ben, Truth, Nate, Mark, Jim, Toyota, Ada, Grits, Jam, Paulie, Curly, Human, Yang, Sagi, and Osama. Okay. And then we have our registered nerds. It only costs $1.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. Helps create this content, keep this channel going. And I'm going to scroll from the top down for our registered nerds based on their length of membership in the channel. All right. So I think we got all of those guys shouted out. Yes, Vaughn, membership is cool. And shout out to you. There was one indeed. All right. Hello, nerds. Okay. So now let's get back onto the secret memo. Here we are. What else is there? Okay, well, he has delivered so many results that the 2023 legislative session was dubbed the Minnesota Miracle. In a little over 100 days and with one vote, Democratic margin in the state Senate, Walz signed into law a package of policies. All right, what did Walz do? Paid family and medical leave, affordable housing, abortion rights, clean energy, climate, environmental justice, including lead pipe removal, labor rights package, and K-12 public education. Holy crap. Wouldn't it be great if our federal Congress could get like half of this done? Wow. Respect to Walz. Oh my God, there's more? Wait a minute, there's more. There was a page break here. It really might have been a miracle. $1 billion for early childhood education. Path to a public option for Minnesota Care. Universal school meals for every student. Free public college for families making less than $80K. Criminal justice reform. Right to vote for formerly incarcerated. Okay, this one, driver's licenses for immigrants, is going to be a little bit of a hot potato. That's a tough one, because if you have undocumented immigrants, do you want to have them drive around without any licensing, like no ID, no driver's test? And maybe that's kind of dangerous. Or do you provide the licensing, but then it's kind of like this very weird situation where a person is not here in a documented way, and now you're kind of documenting them. That one's going to be a hot potato. I think from a public safety point of view, I'm in favor of it, but it's definitely gonna get talked about. Land back to tribal nations, totally for that. Legalize cannabis, child tax credit, renter's tax credit, down payment for homeowners, middle class tax cuts, new tax on corporates, earn sick and safe time, inclusion of undocumented immigrants in Minnesota Care and public benefits. Okay, this is going to be another one. Like, get ready. They're not going to focus on all the other stuff. They're going to focus on this and the driver's license thing. Automatic voter registration, pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds, voter protections, early voting, vote by mail, background checks and red flag laws, trans refuge state, first governor to visit all states, tribal nations, conversion therapy ban, new money for public transport, Juneteenth official holiday, unemployment insurance to laid off minors, green bank with $40 million in initial capitalization. All right, so let's kind of take a breather here. Most of those policy things were freaking amazing. He will get hit on the driver's license and undocumented access to public health care. Those are probably issues that moderates are going to be okay with, but like hardcore MAGA will not be down with that. You could argue like, well, we're not really trying to win over hardcore MAGA. But yeah, I figured I'd call that out. Okay. It's a halftime Minnesota ad must watch. Should we watch this? Should we watch this? Let me know in the live chat. I'm thinking we should watch his ad, but I'll keep going on the memo until I see someone in the chat affirming that you want to see the ad. Best state to raise a kid. Sharp contrast with red states. Minnesota had 19% uncommitted. Walz skillfully messaged around this moment, supporting the party in a way that not further alienate voters, calling for ceasefire. Walz says Minnesota's uncommitted are civically engaged. Examples of Walz quotes. Oh, Drew does not want to watch the ad. Interesting. Jeremy does. So we have a tie right now. We'll keep reading and then I'll make a call unless someone wants to break the tie. Some quotes. I'm surrounded by states that are trying to ban Charlotte's Web while we are banishing hunger in ours. Ooh, wow. That's a pretty good one. I've seen some of my fellow governors on TV. They find a lot of time to be on TV. I hear them talking about freedom, but it turns out what they really mean is that government should be free to invade your bedroom, your children's locker room, and your doctor's office. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you stop complaining about corporations going woke and start giving a damn about real people and real lives. Ooh, wow. He's pretty good. All right. I think Vaughn broke the tie, so we will watch the ad. Sorry, Drew. I know you didn't want to, but hopefully it's a short ad. Let's take a look at this so-called must-watch ad.
It's halftime in Minnesota. Time to regroup, refocus, and choose a plan that tackles today's toughest challenges. Some leaders retreat. They say our only choice is to cut back. They point fingers, offer shortcuts, they try to divide. But Minnesotans know better. The women and men who came before us carved out a life in the unforgiving North. They survived by investing in the future, teaching their children to build communities that last. Immigrant farmers, lumberjacks and miners, champions of freedom and refugees, and people who've been here all along, the Anishinaabe and the Dakota. Our blood saved the Union at Gettysburg. Our iron forged the tanks that liberated Europe. Our farmers sparked a green revolution that fed the world. Our imagination transformed medicine. What many describe as the Minnesota miracle, that's just what we do here. We've proven that when we come together as one Minnesota, we can do anything. I've seen it. I've led soldiers, I've taught students, I've coached state champions. We'll win by doubling down on the next Minnesota miracle, inspiring our kids to dream, setting lofty goals, and lifting each other up to accomplish them. Because if Washington won't lead, Minnesota will. In this state, we don't fear the future, we create the future. And when we stand together, we win. It's halftime, Minnesota, and what happens next is up to you.
Damn. Him. Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, you almost wonder, shoot, that guy could make a good president. I guess you could argue like, well, clearly VPs do become presidents. That's a good ad, man. Whoever made that ad, that's a great ad. We should, just for giggles, watch some Trump and Harris ads. Maybe I'll do that at the very end of the stream. Okay, so then we had a bunch of quotes from him. There are more. A bunch of pictures of him. And that's it. That was the memo. So let me know in the chat, what did you guys think? Okay, Vaughn saying immigrant farmers. That's probably where the immigrant driver's license came from. I do see that regional economies collapse without immigrants. Yes, that is true. I think oftentimes the jobs that native-born Americans are unwilling to do are being done by immigrants. And that goes back, centuries. It's always been the case. There were people that used to do laundry for the miners that came from other countries. And also I don't think those people were allowed to work in other jobs, or like doing like the most dangerous mining work. Many of us forget about the contributions of Chinese Americans to this country in the 1800s, but I digress. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the takeaways from this memo. I think first is, if you're Kamala, this is a rural, white, Midwestern governor, veteran, teacher, coach who's actually passed a lot of common sense center-left stuff. And then if you're on the Kamala team and you're arguing against him, you could say, well, Shapiro gets us Pennsylvania. Shapiro's probably a more dynamic speaker. But then maybe the counterpoint to that is like maybe he's too dynamic. Maybe he kind of takes away his spotlight. Maybe Shapiro's a little bit too ambitious. Whereas Walz seems like he would be okay, kind of knowing his place as a VP. And the biggest downsides to picking Walz would have been you've got the driver's license stuff, the undocumented healthcare stuff, and most of the country doesn't know who he is. So there's that, and we would have won Minnesota anyway. So, that's an interesting debate. But I think in hindsight now, if you're choosing between Walz, Shapiro, Whitmer, Kelly, I can see why Harris picked Walz. And it's kind of interesting now to ask ourselves, like, why the hell didn't the media, all of us, even like, independent, media, why didn't anybody talk about Walz more? Like, we kind of missed it. Except for some of you who did tell me about Walz. But the betting markets did not put Walz very high. So just goes to show you, like, even if you get your information from diverse sources, sometimes reality is very different, and we miss it. Okay. Jeremy says basically the messaging is America first without all the kind of racist baggage that comes with it. Yeah, that's true. Steve says, no, hold on, Tom. You might be more center left than full on progressive, which is probably true. That progressives were talking about Walz. And I think I remember that Fain, the head of the Labor, was talking up Walz big time. So that's true. So it's not like nobody was talking about him. Vaughn is saying, hey, maybe the less name recognition, the better. That could be too. So, that's the summary of the memo. I think what I'll do now is show you some of the latest campaign ads that are coming out for Trump and Harris, so we can just kind of react to those. But before that, I also want to tell you about a project called the Nerds for Humanity board game, which is now in development. I've got it sort of like prototyped in a spreadsheet here. I'm going to show you. So basically, you each play the role of a presidential candidate, and you start here, and then you kind of move around. So it's a little bit like Monopoly, and depending on where you land, certain things happen. And then the other thing is you get dealt these decision cards, and you get dealt 3 of them each round, and you get to keep 1. And so you can say, hey, I want to focus on my crisis management plan, or I want to focus on media strategy or social policy emphasis, whatever. And then what happens is we pick from randomly pick from a major event, like a national disaster or major scandal, whatever. And then depending, like, let's say there was a economic downturn, had you picked in your choice cards policy platform, fundraising, or target states, you would have gotten additional spaces moved across the board. And then the round repeats itself, and then another major event happens, like say a public health emergency. And let's say you had target states and crisis management and healthcare policy, you'd move up, in this case for healthcare policy, 5 spaces. So I've actually tested it with the nerdlings. It's been a fun game. And we're now getting to a point where we're ready to do some play testing externally. So we got the instructions here. We were just working on that this week. I'll show you. Nerds for Democracy. That could be the name. We don't know what we'll call it for sure. You choose your game pieces. Your goal is to be the first candidate to move across the board and land on the finish box. You have these choice cards and then major events cards. And then you get dealt the choice cards. You keep 1 and discard the rest. And then there is a major event card that is picked by the dealer. And then you all get benefits from that if that event helped based on your choice cards. Do the same thing. So there's a different set of decisions for primary versus general election. And then there are debates. So if you land on a debate piece, which I'll show you, let's say your piece lands on this, you debate the least far along other candidate on any topic that the other players choose. And then each party kind of makes a statement, and then the other players vote on who would win. So if you think that could be fun and you want to help us out, you can email me, tom@nerdsforhumanity.com, and I will send you out a little kit that will let you kind of test out the kind of beta version, and then you can give me feedback so we can make improvements to it. And then if there's enough interest, we might actually produce an actual board game, really. And actually, one of the OG Yang Gang people, Spider-Man, is he might volunteer to help us with some of the artwork. So this is not a money-making venture. It will likely lose money, but I think it would be fun. So I'm all about living once and doing fun things. So if you are interested in being a playtester, and then you would probably get credits in our instructions for early playtesters, just email me, tom@nerdsforhumanity.com, and give me your address, and we will mail you out a free test kit. Would love, only requested if you're willing to play. So you'd have to have at least 2 other friends. You need 3 players. And the full game takes about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how the rolls go. So let me know if you're interested in that. And now let's get back to the last thing, which is some of the ads. Looking at the chat here, yeah, Drew is saying the Stolen Valor thing on Walz is going to be problematic. As a military voter, it's a big non-starter, but most military vote Republican anyway. Vaughn says, yes, Stolen Valor is a very bad look. So, yeah, I think the timing of him running for Congress, would he have retired had there not been an Iraq war? I think he would have, because 24 years is long. I think you're eligible for retirement after 20 years with full benefits. People can correct me in the comments if that's wrong. So I don't think it's terrible that he retired after 24 years. The question is, if you know your unit is about to be called up, is that the best time to run for Congress? I can't blame the guy. I mean, he served more years than 99% of us have in the military, in uniform. On the other hand, if you know you're going to get called up in a war, that timing is unfortunate. So, at any rate, let's talk a little bit about because we showed the Walz ad. Let's show a Trump and Harris ad, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, Drew saying, hey, no, it's not about him missing the war. It's that he lied about his rank. Yeah, I think he talks about being a sergeant major, but maybe in reality, he was a master sergeant. Is that right, Drew? Now, as a civilian voter, I don't know, master sergeant sounds pretty good. I think sergeant major sounds a little higher, but I mean, on the other hand, if someone in corporate said to me they were a VP, but they were really a director, I'd be like, bro, then you weren't a VP. So I could see that argument, Drew. Yep. Drew's saying hey, bro, sergeant major is like being a general. It's a big deal. I see. That's fair. Jeremy is saying the Stolen Valor scandal will only be an issue with lower information voters. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Maybe that'll come up in some future polls. We can do another live stream looking at the latest polls and how people feel about things. But let me even see now while we're here. Polls about Walz, Stolen Valor. No, there's a bunch of articles. There's articles about, well, I'll just show you. I don't think there's been any polling done on the Stolen Valor thing in particular. 9 in 10 didn't know enough about him, had no opinion. This is right after he was selected. 6% favorable, 7% unfavorable. The others were more known. 9 in 10 say they have a favorable opinion of veterans. 8 in 10 have a favorable opinion about school teachers. Much higher than government employees. High school teachers are held in high regard. Interesting. Walz did lose among veteran households in Minnesota. He also struggled among white men. He performed a little better than this group than Democrats nationwide. Yeah, so we don't know if the Stolen Valor thing, it could be that the Stolen Valor stuff will hurt him most with people who would never have voted for him in the first place. It's Jeremy saying the scandal is he's been photographed wearing Special Forces hats, but he didn't serve in the Special Forces. He also misspoke when he said he carried weapons at war. Yeah, that could be Tim Walz, the man, the human, trying to kind of puff up his chest a little more, which frankly is kind of unnecessary. Like, I think a lot of people would have been very grateful that he was a master sergeant, that he served in the National Guard for 24 years, that his father was a veteran, served in Korea. Like, you don't need to make it sound like you're, personally taking down bin Laden and like, SEAL Team 6 or anything. Jason is saying, well, Kinzinger explained the rank discrepancy. He's saying Walz was higher rank, but if you retire and haven't been in that rank for 3 years, then you retire as a lower rank. Interesting. So there's some gray area. Like when you retire at I guess he retired as a master sergeant, but his last acting rank might have been sergeant major. Let's see if we can fact check this. What was Tim Walz' last rank in Army National Guard before retirement? Okay. Oh, look at this. There's an article on factcheck.org. Let's share that. Okay. Vance claimed that Walz dropped out when he learned his battalion was slated to be deployed. Walz retired to focus on a run 2 months before his unit got official word of impending deployment, though it had been rumored for months. So I think that objectively says that he probably knew that they were going to be called up, and he still chose to run for Congress. Yeah, that's not awesome, in my view. Vance also accused Walz of once having claimed to have served in combat when he did not, while advocating for a ban on assault-style rifle weapons. Assault-style weapons. Walz said, "We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at." Yeah, you could have said that I carried in wartime or that I carried in the army. But when you say that I carried in war, it does give the impression that you were getting shot at carrying like, an assault rifle. The Republican National Committee has criticized Walz for misrepresenting. Harris campaign salutes Walz for his rising to the rank of command sergeant major. Walz did rise to that rank, but he retired as a master sergeant because he had not completed the requirements of a command sergeant major. So he did rise to that rank, but he didn't complete the requirements. Okay. So it's not a complete misrepresentation, but it's a little. I would have just said, "Look, I was a master sergeant." Let's see. Military specialties were 13B. A cannon crew member who operates and maintains cannons, and 13Z. Field artillery senior sergeant. Okay, so that's the official Minnesota National Guard public affairs officer. Says that when he was serving, he was a field artillery senior sergeant. Underwent corrective surgery due to hearing impairment related to exposure to cannon booms. Yeah. Okay. Wow, this is great. So detailed. So Vance says, when Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the army and allowed his unit to go without him. Yeah, that's not a good look. In early 05, Walz, then a high school geography teacher and football coach, decided to run for office. In 09, Walz said he made the decision to retire to the National Guard from the National Guard to focus full time. He was really concerned about trying to seek public office and serve in the National Guard at the same time without running afoul of the Hatch Act. He filed to run on February 10th, 05. In March, yeah, it's close. Yeah. So I think in summary, probably should not have said he was a sergeant major. Like seriously, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Like, why would you say that? Because it just gives the other side a opportunity to call you out on it. So yeah, there it is. I still think Walz probably served more in the military than Trump did. I know Trump was, I think he was excluded from the draft for Vietnam. Yeah. Because of he wasn't able to walk. But he can play golf. But you could argue maybe you need more walking capabilities. And I mean, who had more service to the country, Walz or Vance or Trump? I mean, I would argue Walz probably in terms of number of years in uniform. But I think Vance was a war correspondent, but he was actually deployed in the field during a war. So you could say, well, Vance has more combat years. And Trump, he went to a high school military academy, but I don't think that's really service. So, and Harris, I don't think she served, not that I'm aware of. So at any rate, that's that. Let's take a look at some ads, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, nerds? Okay, so I'm gonna find latest Trump political ads. Where the hell is it? Maybe if I go to okay, here's one.
Now, just refer to this a moment ago.
I don't know if this is the latest one, but we'll watch one. Okay. Where's the actual ad? There we go.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record.
All right. That was a pretty good ad. In fact, it makes you wonder why Trump isn't more focused on, hey, inflation, border security, and kind of the cover-up of the Biden limitations or decline. Like, those are pretty strong arguments to make. I don't know why Trump is focusing on her race, saying like, oh, she just recently decided to become black. I think he believes this somehow earns him some more black voters. But I don't know if that's going to make him the biggest difference in like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. So I think Trump's ad is a better messenger than Trump. We don't have time to go over his press conference, but I'll tell you what, if this video or live stream on YouTube, if we get like 50 likes, I will do another one within a few days reacting to that weird press conference that Trump did a few days ago, which was just it's kind of sad, to be honest with you. I feel like there's a reason he's the oldest candidate in the race right now, and he's not getting sharper. He seems to be in decline, in my opinion. But that was a Trump ad, which is very different than what Trump chooses to talk about. Let's see a Harris ad and see how that one looks.
To this amount.
Hold on. Harris ad. Harris ad. Okay. Ooh, a border ad. Interesting. Okay, we've got to watch that one. And then it will call out some final comments in the live chat. And then see...
Here in Arizona,
okay,
even Democrats like using her background as a
Smuggling weapons.
conversation. Vice President Kamala Harris's new border ad is emphasizing her background as a prosecutor in a border state.
She took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
The ad, an apparent effort to address
What the hell?
GOP criticism.
That's not the whole ad. Hold on. Harris border ad. Maybe this one?
Here in Arizona,
Oh, come on.
even
it's the
Democrats
same
like
one.
Governor Katie Hobbs have been
Why is it so hard to find her freaking ad? Oh, look. What the hell is this?
On the border, the choice is simple. Kamala Harris supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Donald Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents. Kamala Harris supports investing in new technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Donald Trump blocked funding for technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Kamala Harris supports spending more money to stop human traffickers. Donald Trump blocked money to stop human traffickers. Kamala Harris prosecuted transnational gang members and got them sentenced to prison. Trump is trying to avoid being sentenced to prison. There's two choices in this election: the one who will fix our broken immigration system, and the one who's trying to stop her.
I'm
On the border,
Harris. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message. Okay. So, that was a smart ad. Basically, they are taking Trump's opposition to the bipartisan border security bill and saying he opposed everything that was good in that bill. Is that the same as saying when he was president, he was against those things in the bill? I don't know. But I think it was kind of a dumb move by Trump to tell all of the MAGA folks to vote against it. So yeah, if you guys haven't heard it, there was a great podcast today with, what's his name? Let's see, get his name correct. James Lankford from, he's a senator, evangelical senator, big on national security from Oklahoma. And he was the one that worked with Kristen Sinema, who's the independent from Arizona, on a border bill that initially the Republicans were all in favor of it. It had like pretty strict changes to how we process asylum seekers, increased money for border security and everything. And just before they were going to vote on it, Trump opposed it. Which is just, why would he do that? I mean, the argument is he did it because he wanted the border situation to get worse, so he could kind of hang it around Biden's neck. And Biden was smart enough to say, I will sign this bill. So the only reason we don't have that bill is because Donald Trump opposed it. What were the main elements of the border security bill blocked by Trump. Let's go over and then I'll let you guys go. Okay. My God, it's amazing how it's hard to get just like simple information. I just want a list of the freaking elements of the bill. Jesus. All right, let's just, I'll find this article. And let's see. Republicans kill border bill. Let's see. Why won't they just say what was in the bill? Should we use ChatGPT, guys? I mean, there's always a risk we're going to get a freaking hallucination. I'm a little nervous about that. We'll look in one last place. See this one. Okay. Let's live dangerously and go to ChatGPT. Hold on. Let's go here. This is like, look, if you want to be a high information voter, like look how hard it is to find freaking information. That's because all those articles focused on like the drama and not the details. Now, in defense of those journalists, if you give the details, you probably won't get as many clicks. Were the main, like say the top 5 border security and immigration reform elements in the bipartisan bill that was blocked by Trump in, I guess it was this year, right? 2024. Okay, if you believe ChatGPT, which is probably on this kind of stuff, should be okay. Increased border security funding, billions of dollars for border security in the southwest border. Emergency border shutdown authority gives the president power to shut the border down if unauthorized crossings reach a certain threshold. Streamlined asylum processing, speed up processing times for asylum seekers. New standards for asylum eligibility. Automatically shut down the border under certain conditions. Okay, then go to the source here. Yeah. I mean, this seems like all good things. Like, why would you be against this? At any rate, I don't know how we got into this topic, but it's an hour. So nerds, if you're still with me, and there's 71 in the live stream, which is awesome. Thank you, nerds. Can you do me a solid? Can you smash the like button and share this out? And also, just so you know, if you're getting a nice, well, you're getting a clear view of the fish, but I'm a little blurry. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. Let's go to autofocus. Where's the... Let's go to auto. All right. That should be clearer. But I am using a camera that hopefully is giving you good picture quality of me and the fish. And I'm using this microphone. And I have like a light here. And all of this is because of our channel members. So I want to thank our channel members again for, you know, even the ones that are just registered nerds for $1.99 a month. Like that goes towards the streaming software that I'm using right now, the thumbnail editor, and these are all subscriptions that I have to pay for. So appreciate everybody for making this channel possible and letting me make some more content for you. If you want more of this, make sure you like, share, subscribe, so that the algorithm gives us some love. Trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. Right now we are at, what are we at today? Why do I want to get 20,000? Because mainly because it helps me get more guests, like big time guests on the show. How many subs we have right now? We have 16,982. So we're almost at the 17,000 mark. Hopefully we can get to 20K before November. All right, bye nerds. Oh, we forgot the going away music. We gotta do that. All right, what are your 3 takeaways, nerds? Number 1, the case for Walz was extremely strong. Number 2, they clearly made the argument that, look, he's bordering Wisconsin. He's not going to bring the Gaza stuff the way Shapiro would, and he's not going to try and grab the spotlight. I mean, that's kind of the tone of the memo that I read. And number 3 is like Walz has a pretty impressive Minnesota Miracle legislative record. I especially like the free school lunches and also paid family leave. Like those are great things. He's going to get in trouble probably for the undocumented immigrant driver license stuff and the undocumented public health care stuff. That's gonna be an issue. And then we spent a good amount of time talking about the Stolen Valor stuff, which I think is a sign that, hey, if we're talking about it, you got to give Vance some credit. Like he's kind of stirred up the pot here. And then the last thing was how, when we looked at the ads, how Trump has a really good argument to make against Harris, but he seems to be a little bit, speaking of like serving, like a little bit missing in action. I think this week he went to Montana. I don't know why. Like Montana's not even a swing state. And he didn't do any events the whole week. So maybe he's sad or not sure, but I'm going to have to predict that it's looking pretty good for the Dems. Oh, one last thing before we wrap up. I cannot say goodbye to you guys. Latest poll, 538 polling, and then we will wrap up. I'm about to lose my voice. Here's a trend, friends. Let's share. You guys are getting some bonus content here. I mean, is this something you'd write home about if you're Harris? No. But you remember we were getting our ass kicked when it was Biden at the top of the ticket. So the fact that Harris is leading Trump now, and you look at Kennedy, he's really kind of been pushed to the margins. There was times where Kennedy was in the double digits. I think a lot of the people who were like, hey, I can't vote for the double haters are coming to the Harris-Walz ticket now. Let's look at some swing states. Look at Wisconsin. Harris 46, Trump 45, Kennedy 4. Let's look at Michigan. Harris 45, Trump 43, Kennedy 5. And look at Pennsylvania. Harris 45, Trump 44. I mean, they're basically 45-45. Trump, Kennedy 4. So, if you guys remember, these were all states where Trump was over Biden. So, let's hope this trend continues and we can finally say goodbye to the era of Donald Trump. Like, I would imagine if he lost in November, we wouldn't hear from him anymore. I mean, surely he wouldn't think about running again. God help us.